I'm very purpose-driven. I'm a husband and a father, but what I do for a living really defines a lot of my life. Education is one of the most powerful weapons you can use to change the world, and I believe on a daily basis I'm able to do that.
All right. Now, if you know anything about our podcast, you know that we have strong ties with Herzing University, dating back to our episode with Aaron Gann for our investment segment. Today's very special episode will feature Dr. Jeff Hill, who has been appointed the president of the Brookfield, the Madison, and even the Kenosha campus. Today, we will sit down with Dr. Jeff Hill and go over the background of what it's like to make it to the top and how to be appointed the name doctor. So please, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Dr. Jeff Hill.
Look, the biggest podcast where you can learn them lessons. Line for line where you can learn from different sections. Made it out the mud, come tell your story, blessings. Never know who listening, never know who stressing. Devon gave you a voice, can speak your honest truth. Line for line, go bar for bar, it's up to you. Wanna talk sports, gov, and politics? Wanna talk about where you from and your accomplishments? The line for line is really where you need to be. A platform that's really made for folks like you and me. You can find it all no matter what you seek. Whether you calling or you listening, tune in every week.
All right, we are back on a very special episode of Line for Line. I have a very special young man in the building today. I don't know how to introduce him to, so I will definitely let this guest introduce himself to us today.
Okay, well, Devon, it's great to be here with you. My name is Dr. Jeff Hill. I serve as regional president of Herzing University's Wisconsin campuses. So that's our Kenosha, Brookfield, and Madison locations. I don't think I'm a very young man, but I've worked at Herzing for a little over 5 years. I've worked in higher education for 16 and just incredibly passionate about helping students be successful, and certainly proud of our amazing grads such as yourself.
Yes, sir.
And watching them, grow within our program and then succeed after they leave us.
Yes, sir. So before we get started, I do have something very, very special for you, young man. I just wanted to show the people at home what we got for you. We have like a line for line T-shirt.
That's amazing.
So this is definitely for you, sir.
Wow, thank
yes,
you so
sir.
much.
Anything for you.
Well, okay.
So I definitely
start with the shirt. We'll see where it goes next.
I definitely will start with my first question: is higher education.
Yes.
What was it that got you into higher education?
It was not a path that I had sought out. I was actually recruited. I worked for almost 11 years in the fitness industry. And my family and I had relocated. We had grown up in the northern Illinois suburb of Schaumburg, Hoffman Estates area, and had relocated to Minnesota for the organization that I worked for. We're there for 2.5 years, and I loved it, and it was great. My wife and 3 small children did not love it. They missed their family, and I put my resume online, and a school reached out to me the very next day, and little did I know that was going to be like a lifelong career for me.
Yes, sir.
So that started in 2004.
And that was here at Herzing?
No, it was another institution that I was at for about 11 years.
Does it start with a C? Sorry to cut you off. Sorry.
Yes, C. But I started in the admissions department, and I got a taste for how impactful education can be for individuals, how rewarding it can be. Because for the previous 11 years, I had helped people build up muscle, lose weight, just improve their overall health. And I thought that was extremely rewarding. Education took that to a whole nother level. To see people that had these dreams and aspirations and being able to guide them through that process of navigating their fears and their excitement, I quickly realized it was going to be a lifelong passion.
Yes, sir.
And so I started in admissions. I worked in admissions for about 8 years. And then I had an opportunity to move into an administrative role as a campus president, and that was even more rewarding because I could build an entire culture where all departments, not just admissions, but financial aid and student services, academics, could all work collaboratively together to support one another and foster student success.
Yeah. Now, what was it about Herzing that drew you to the campus?
So a former colleague that I had worked with at my previous institution had joined Herzing previously, and he let me know about how amazing Herzing was, and that there was this opportunity. And so that's how it started. And once I met a handful of people in Herzing, I knew it was a really special place.
Yes, sir.
Not only for our students, but for the work family that we've been able to grow here.
Yes, sir. Now, I did hear you say we do go way back. We go back to the old campus, the old campus. Yeah,
I remember meeting in my office.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The cramped campus,
Yes.
as well. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a memory that you have about that campus that you missed, maybe?
It's a great question. Something I miss. Well, I mean, given COVID and everything else, I just miss being there with the students and with the faculty and staff. You know, we outgrew the building in, well, probably by 2019, we realized we were going to run out of space. And so this whole new campus that we're filming in right now was had started right before COVID went underway, completed in August. And so we've been in this brand new, beautiful building, but we haven't had to have students with us.
Yeah.
So for the old campus, I miss the students, and I miss the faculty, and just seeing everyone on a daily basis. You know, I think a lot of us that work, you spend a lot of time at work, and you grow really close with the family and friends that are there with you. So that's my biggest thing that I miss.
Yes, sir. Now, I do hear you say about the students. Now, what is it that you do to connect with the students while they're coming into your campus? You know,
Sure.
How do you interact and engage with those, make them feel welcome?
So great question. So again, at the old campus, my door was always open, and I always had a line of students that would come in just to say hi. I'm a pretty outgoing person, and always encourage students to come in and say hi. Otherwise, I would walk through the hallways on a daily basis. I'd go visit classrooms. As we transitioned into COVID and most students started doing online, I would attend all of the online orientations to introduce myself to students. But the last year has been really challenging trying to make those strong connections with students. So that's why one of the reasons that I'm so excited to have students coming back on campus. First, this summer we've got about 10 classes that are back on campus, and fingers crossed, if everything continues to go really well as far as our environment, we'll have all of our students back on campus.
Yes,
and I
sir.
get to just spend time with them. Right now in my new role, I oversee 3 campuses, so I split my time between the campuses and schedule my time so that I'm there when students are there, so I can meet them and do the same thing, walk the halls, go into the classroom, that sort of thing.
You're a great guest because you're already speaking on focal points that I had outlined already as well too. You know, yeah, that's really, really good. So I'd say my next question would be, how is it that you communicate your vision while interacting with the public, you know, to let them know where you stand and what happens when people enroll with Herzing?
Absolutely. So I don't know. I think I'm a very simple person. And so I'm the same person with you here today as I am with our admissions team, as I am with our students. I am a husband and a father first, but what I do for a living very deeply defines who I am. So I consider myself someone who has a high level of integrity. So I care very deeply about not only our students, but the people that I work with. And so I don't have to really customize my message. It doesn't, the audience hears the same thing. You know, you as a student would hear me talk about the value of education and the importance of people working together to support our students, to our responsibility as a community partner to engage, you know, in community needs. And I just try and be sincere and genuine and always authentic. So I feel like time is a really important gift you can give people. So whether it's sitting down and talking with you here, or talking to a student that has a question about financial aid or career advice, I always, you know, try and be generous with my time and be able to share the wisdom that I've gained and help them, you know, on their journey.
Yes, sir. Can you tell us a little bit about your vision when it comes to diversity with your campus?
Absolutely. So Herzing University as a whole is very conscious on the value and benefit of education. And we try and be a good community partner to increase opportunity for education for all of our communities that we serve. Within Kenosha, I have been blessed to work with a number of really influential non-for-profit organizations. So I serve on a number of boards. One of those is Building Our Future, which is a local partner with the United Way. And their whole priority is how to help increase the educational attainment rates for all Kenosha residents, but specifically where those gaps are with regard to minority students that have lower high school graduation rates or college enrollment. I also work with the Mahone Fund. We sponsor scholarships to Herzing, both through Mahone as well as the Boys and Girls Club, as well as the United Way. So we try and create access. We also work closely with our employer partners to make sure that the programs that we're offering are going to lead to high demand employment. So while we have 50 programs that range from diploma all the way through master's degrees, all of them are geared towards careers that students can graduate and have concrete, tangible knowledge and skills that they can go and work for. Specifically in our campus, the largest program is nursing. And so we've been able to significantly increase our nursing population. And currently we are about 60% of our students are of some level of minority status. They're non-white. So we feel like there's always room for improvement, but we feel like the combination of scholarships and a kind of a consistent focus on supporting community partners that are driving towards increased educational attainment rates is the best way that we can make sure that we're supporting our entire community, but certainly fostering a diverse and successful community.
Yeah. Now, as the president of 3 campuses now, is Kenosha, Madison, what's the third?
Brookfield.
And Brookfield. What would you say is the most influential decision that you take to be making to develop the university? Excuse me.
Great question. So my main focus right now is trying to build collaboration and leverage resources across all 3 campuses. So all 3 campuses have strengths. All 3 campuses serve very similar student populations. They all have the exact same academic program offerings. But each campus historically has operated to some degree in a silo, doing what they feel is best for the students without a lot of context on how another campus 50 miles south or west is doing from themselves. So I'm trying to build relationships where our where our staff and faculty view themselves not just as a Kenosha employee or a Brookfield employee or a Madison employee, but as a Herzing employee. And how do we support not only the individual campus we reside in, but all 3 campuses? Similarly, we're trying to build a stronger alumni relations across all 3 campuses so that you as an alumni don't feel like you're simply an alumni of Herzing University Kenosha. You're a graduate and alumni of Herzing University overall.
Yes, sir.
And in Wisconsin, we have thousands and thousands of alumni. And so how do we leverage your experiences to talk to someone who maybe is just starting, and not even in Kenosha, but maybe at the Brookfield campus, about struggles that you had, how you overcame those struggles. So that's really the key. To answer your question, it's trying to foster collaboration and assistance between all 3 campuses.
Yes, sir. What would you say is the running head for people's remembrance of Herzing University, like former students, alumni such as myself?
Sure.
What is the most popular common response that you get when people say, "Oh, how did you like Herzing? What did you like about it?"
I would say we aspire for our graduates to say that going to Herzing was one of the greatest decisions I ever made.
Yes.
I would say we've remained very close to our graduates, specifically our nursing graduates, because those are the ones that, when you were going to school, we still were teaching a lot of business classes and other classes on campus. Almost all of our programming outside of nursing is taught online now. And it's just more challenging to build strong relationships with individuals that you don't see on a regular basis. But our nursing students, I'm probably most proud of right now, or what I hear from our nursing graduates, is they loved us so much, they continued their education with us. So a large percentage of our students come back to go to school. So if they earned their LPN degree, they come back and earn their Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. If they've earned their bachelor's, they come back for their master's program. And probably the stat that I'm most proud of is right now, we have nearly 40 faculty teaching our students, and approximately 25% of them are Herzing graduates.
Oh, wow.
That loved us so much while they were students to not only come back and further their education, but now wanting to come back and continue to be a part of our culture.
Yes.
So that's what I hope for, and we continue to build towards that.
And I can definitely attest to that as a former student who graduated in 2017. I'm sitting here with the president of campuses now, a couple of years later, so I can attest to that, how close you guys are with present students, current students, all of that as well too.
Because we want to build a relationship. We're a small enough institution. So I have a dumb joke. I always say that we're a medium-sized university. Right?
Medium.
So we, as a university, Herzing has 7,000 students across 10 campuses in 8 states. But at a campus level, we have, typically less than 600 or 700 students at any one campus location. And so the benefit is we have resources that you would associate with a 7,000 student university, as far as resources to invest in a campus, online resources, whether it's classes, tutoring. But at a campus level, you're not just a number. You're not one of 7,000. We know you as Devon, and so you can walk in my office and say, hey, can I talk to you about this? your faculty will know you on a personal level. And the majority of our students are working adults. And so working adults are, just incredibly inspiring individuals because they have these dreams and aspirations, and yet they still have a job to go to. They still have kids to raise. And so it's been an honor to watch them and yourself grow and overcome these challenges and be able to play a role in that, where if you were going to a larger institution, it might be much more difficult for you to find those resources.
Yes.
And then when we're able to celebrate you at graduation, it's that much more meaningful. I'm a father of 3, and so I just had the honor of watching my twins graduate college 2 weeks ago.
Nice. Congratulations.
But I feel a similar sense of pride when I attend our own graduations, because I've gotten to know the students, to know their stories and what they've had to overcome. And so it's incredibly rewarding. And I think that's part of the reason that you've stayed close with our university and our nursing graduates have, is because we build that connection. You go through a journey together. And so we're with you when you have an issue with your work or when you have an issue with a child. And so we're part of that fabric, that helped you get through and be successful.
Yes, that's always been one of my favorite things about Herzing. Not only are there people that look like me, there are people who are on the same level as me as well too,
Sure.
Like I work, I go to school, I have other things going on outside school, and everyone around me are in the same boat, so we can relate on that much closer of a level, because we're like, oh, well, hey, you have kids. Hey, let's take our kids to the park, or let's take our kids to the recplex together, and get some studying in while they play or anything like that. So whenever you're in a situation like that, you're just destined to win, And that was one of my favorite things about Herzing as well, too. Especially with the class sizes as well, being as small as they were as well, too. You really get that love, that everyone needs, The teacher has time to really capitalize and give you resources as well too, as long as the 7 to 8, maybe 10 other students as well too.
And then you build connections with those individuals in your cohort.
Right?
You're going through it together. And so even if you're blessed with family and friends that may support you during your educational journey, they're not in the thick of it studying for a test, writing a paper. And so when we can foster a culture where you're able to connect with individuals and share successes, ask for assistance, I think that plays a huge role in the success of our students as well.
Yes, sir. Now we'll just talk a little bit more about you as well too, know. So just tell us a little bit about some of your idols, leaders, that you had coming up.
Ooh, my leaders or idols?
Because I've always tried to I want to be like you so bad. I was like, I wonder who he looked up to, what type of mentors he had.
Wow. Well, I would love to, in some way, shape, or form, inspire or mentor you. So, we'll continue talking, obviously, well after this interview.
Yes, sir.
So I'm an open book for anything I can do to help you. Probably, I grew up playing sports. So, Ryan Sandberg from the Cubs, Michael Jordan, certainly probably number one, just from his airness, the greatness, knowing hard work would kind of, make all things great. My Uncle Bob was my dad had left early in my life, and my Uncle Bob was fairly close to me. He was a firefighter, and so he inspired me. When I was in college, I became a volunteer firefighter my sophomore year, and my plan was to be a firefighter after I graduated. And I tried doing that for 2 years, and unfortunately, it didn't work out. There weren't opportunities, and so those are, and then my mom, certainly. My mom was a single mom and raised my brother and I, and just showed us that, anything is possible, and she sacrificed for us. So those are probably the biggest mentors or inspirations that drove me. And then today, probably the last, my wife and I will be married 25 years this year. My wife inspires me and has for the last quarter century to be a better person. And my kids today, now they're my twins are 21 and my youngest is 19, and it's amazing to watch them as they've grown and evolved, and so they inspire me to work hard and set an example for them as far as the impact they can make with their talent and their dedication.
Yes, sir. Can you tell us a little bit about the accolade of being able to put doctor in front of your name, sir?
Yeah. That was a long time coming. Again, if you and I were talking in 2004, I never could have said, well, this is my plan or this is what I'm going to do.
No way, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I graduated college in 1992 with a degree in business management. Again, the plan was to be a firefighter. And I tried that for 2 years, and I waited tables and bartended. And then in 1994, March 21st of 94, I met my wife and knew almost instantly that I was going to marry her. And And that was all great, but trying to support a family or be a husband and be a waiter is really challenging because you can't prove how much money you make. At least you couldn't back in 1994. So that's how I kind of fell into a job in the fitness industry, which eventually led me to higher education. And once I started in higher education, I'm very driven for continuous improvement. So I decided to get my master's degree at the age of, I don't know, 35-ish.
35.
So I'd been out of school for a long time, was kind of scared, but I said, this is going to, make me better and it's going to improve me. And then once I earned a position as a campus president, I knew that this was going to be like my career for the rest of my life. And so I decided I wanted to go back and get my doctorate in higher education. And I started going to school. And I had a real test in front of me because about 4 months after starting my doctoral program, I was laid off from my position.
Oh, no.
And so I had this massive life decision, like, what do? Do I continue and pursue this? Because this is a big financial investment with no guarantees of where I could land. But I didn't struggle with the choice because I knew my purpose is to help people. And I feel like my talents allow me to help the most people doing what I do in higher education. So I continued on with my studies. After, a couple of months, I landed with Herzing University, and I spent 2 years working on my dissertation. The program itself was about 4.5 years, and I became really passionate about nursing education and just the challenges that our country is facing from a national nursing shortage and the needs for us as higher education institutions to produce more nurses. And we were starting to build something in Kenosha where we were able to increase our number of clinical sites and hire more faculty. And so we were able to recruit more nursing students than most of our peer institutions were doing.
Yes, sir.
And so I wanted to study what makes nursing students successful, because most nursing programs are very similar, where they only admit the best and the brightest, and they use GPA and they use a standardized test to determine who we're going to let in. And so there's a lot of great nursing students that aren't admitted into a nursing program, not because they're not qualified, but because they don't have enough capacity. And so I'm really proud that we were able to grow our nursing program to accommodate more nursing students. And so I became really focused on what makes a successful nursing student, because it can't just be academics, because we were enrolling students that didn't have the best GPAs and they were still having a lot of success. And so my studies proved that amongst our nursing student population, the score on a entrance assessment or their GPA they did not factor into who was successful and who wasn't. What I found instead was certain factors. So peer support, if students were connected to other students, they were much more likely to be successful.
Yes.
Institutional support, if students felt connected to at least one individual that was staff or faculty, again, success rates were much, much higher. And then personal characteristic traits. So the characteristic trait of grit, which is basically just how much do you want it, how hard are you willing to work for it, and how do you deal with adversity, as well as self-efficacy, which is a locus of control. So if you're going to start a podcast, are you going to be successful because you're just talented and driven and you're going to make it happen? Or is your success dependent on somebody outside picking it up and you not having any control over it? So students that had a strong locus of control, meaning they determined their own success rates, were much more likely to be successful. And students that could look at failure as an opportunity to grow and improve were much more successful than those that lacked that characteristic and looked at failure as, you see, I'm not smart enough, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So I was successful in defending my dissertation in November of 2018. And I continue to research and try and figure out ways for us to improve the quality of our education, service we provide our students, and ultimately the success rates of all of our students.
Yes. Now, listening to your amazing success story, I heard you say you're out of school for a while. Yep. You were a little bit older in age. What would be your best piece of advice for someone maybe watching this and they're like, well, I've been thinking about going to school, but I'm 28, I'm 29. Is school really for me? Am I too old, or do I just have to be comfortable with where I'm at now? What would be your best piece of advice for someone going through those?
You had lots of good advice, so I would say they could listen to yours. Yes, everything you said is absolutely true. It's never too late. I guess I would give the same advice that I just gave to my son yesterday. Regardless of your age, you have to follow your heart. You know, I've been so blessed in my life. I've always loved the things that I did for a living, and I've always been blessed with amazing people. And whether I just deluded myself or whether I just got extremely lucky, if you know, there's the old adage: if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. And so I just encourage people, regardless if you're 17 graduating high school or if you're 52 thinking of a career change, it's never too late. And I promise you, you know, Herzing can definitely help you, but there's lots of schools out there that can assist you. But, you know, you don't want to live your life with regrets. And so if you have a passion, whether it's to start a podcast or whether it's to go back to school to earn your business degree or become a nurse or whatever, focus on that passion. And then, you know, I guess I would say commit to something, right? So I'm a big believer in the difference between interest and commitment. There's a lot of people that are interested in stuff and they'll say, I'm going to quit smoking, or I'm interested in going to the gym, or I'm interested in this. If you're interested in something, you'll do it as long as it's convenient, as long as it doesn't require a sacrifice, as long as it isn't in place of something that you really want to do, whether it's to go out with your friends or to go to the movies or just sit on your couch. Students that are successful, individuals that are successful, such as yourself, are committed. So they'll do the things that they don't always love to do, but they know it's going to make them successful. And that's dedication, that's hard work, that's sacrifice. So I went a long way around. Basic advice is the same that you gave just a second ago.
Yes, sir.
It's never too late. Follow your heart. And again, anybody that wants to talk to me about their future, I'm always open and ready to try and serve as some sort of a mentor.
Yes, sir.
To anybody.
Now, as we close out this last question, I feel like the whole podcast maybe could have answered the question as well too. But how is it that Herzing as a organization is so great? You know, especially with not companies, but other schools in the Kenosha area that have been around for a while, i.e., Carthage, Parkside. What is it that just makes Herzing stands out? And I'm not saying this to throw shade at those schools, because those are great schools as well too. I know doctors, nurses who went that route as well too. But what is it about Herzing that's just so great that keeps them in that limelight and keeps them being mentioned up there with the top tier?
It's a great question, and I would say I'm honored to have Herzing kind of mentioned in the same breath of Parkside, Gateway, and Carthage, because they're amazing institutions, and I know the leaders of those institutions very well. And they're all as committed to student success and the Kenosha community as I am. And so I don't know if you were aware, this past Saturday we had a regional drive-through career fair or a college fair, and it was a combination of all four of our local institutions. Yep. Because we're all committed to how do we benefit the community, not I want these students and then you're going to steal these students from me. Similarly, there's a neighborhood just by where the Chrysler plant is, or used to be, the Kenosha Innovation Neighborhood, that the city is trying to develop. And again, Gateway, Parkside, Carthage, and Herzing are working together to try and figure out a usage for both the Brown Bank building, and then how can we serve as an educational unit to support the entire community. So it's not each university wants to have an office there and we'll all fight over students. It's how do we collaborate around, how do we increase the educational attainment rates of the residents, right? How do we get more African-American men and women to graduate high school? Because the completion rates for that demographic are much lower than their white counterparts. So I didn't answer your question. The question is, what makes Herzing special? I would say it's the people that are here. I've worked a long time, so as much as I love you calling me a young man, I've worked for I've worked since I was in high school. So I've worked for 35 years.
Oh, wow.
And I've never been connected with as many amazing, dedicated, talented individuals as I am here. And so that's from the academic dean to our admissions department, to our faculty, to our student services. Everyone is selfless. Everyone is extremely talented. Everyone goes above and beyond, not only to serve our students, but to make partnerships within the community. So the majority of our leadership team serves on nonprofit organizations. We've done everything we can to try and foster a culture where we're constantly asking our student, staff, and faculty, tell us where we can be a better partner to the community, whether it's providing a financial sponsorship to a community, or whether it's hosting groups on site, which obviously in our new campus we can do a lot more of. So I tell incoming students, or anybody listening or watching to this podcast, it's never that Herzing is better than anything else. It's Kenosha and the area around Kenosha is blessed with amazing higher education institutions that combine an extremely high quality of education with dedicated staff and faculty that I think will go above and beyond to help students, whether they're traditional age high school graduates or whether they're adult learners, overcome challenges, learn the specific knowledge and credentials they need so they can go out and have great career success.
Yes, sir.
I think Herzing, we've made a name for ourselves primarily with our nursing program, but we provide the same level of dedication and service to anybody listening, whether they want to choose a career in business or technology or healthcare administration, whatever it may be.
Yeah, or medical assisting as well, too.
Absolutely.
Huge shout out to the medical assistants as well.
Yeah.
With that being said, we just wrapped up another great episode featuring Dr. Jeff Hill. Yes, sir. Greatly appreciate you and your time.
You calling or you listening, tune in every week. Line for line. Oh yeah, I'm going